Danny Bueller, still joined by Luis Scott Vargas.
I'm glad you didn't change over the break.
I tried. Got some pretty sweet matches in the books already to here on the modern week of Standard Super League. Now we're getting ready for the semifinal. Gerry Thompson has a Jund deck that he's been streaming a lot with lately. Seems to be having some success with it. He's going to be playing against Paul Cheon, who, I don't know, does this count as pulling a Dave Williams, sort of telling everybody you're on the one deck, like accidentally leaking that, I'm going to be on Splinter Twin or Shops in Dave's case, and then turning up with something completely different. He's on Delver.
I think Paul never came out and said he was on Splinter Twin, and everyone just expected it because he played at the last couple modern events. Like he played it at Grand Prix Vancouver, he played it in the PTQ he got made the finals of. But no one thought he was as much on Splinter Twin as they did say Kibler on Green White mid range.
That's fair. All right, look at these hands. Gerry has pretty solid, right?
Yeah, Paul's just got casual mountain, swamp, double blue cards, and 4 other blue cards. Though his hand actually looks decent.
He can cast the Terminate.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I would certainly keep that hand. It's funny, Paul's deck has opted into mulliganing poorly because his deck has a bunch of Gitaxian probes, which means you need to make mulligan decisions without knowing what your hand really is. Right, and in this case, Paul mulled a 5, actually.
Yeah, well, the 6-card hand was completely unkeepable. It was 6 spells. Yeah. Would you mulligan the 7, though? Swamp, Mountain, Probe, Terminate, and 3 cantrips?
I wouldn't mulligan that on the draw now. And that is I can't blame Paul for mulliganing it, but, actually I can. Given Paul's legendary luck, I don't see how you can mulligan that.
Of course there was an island in the top 3 cards.
Paul gets to try to find removable Thought Scour. If Bob survives, things are looking pretty bad for Paul because Gerry has just removal in hand, and Bob plus removal is pretty good.
It sure looks like Bob's going to survive. I mean, Paul's got to decide how to play this turn. He's got a couple of options, but all of them seem to involve playing creatures.
He does. The option that has the most upside is cracking Delta for like a basic island, casting Thought Scour, and hoping to draw a Lightning Bolt so you can kill Dark Confidant. Otherwise, you could just play
Delver if you miss.
Right, and then otherwise you could just play Pyromancer and then hope that it lives, but that doesn't seem that great. You also kind of want to play Pyromancer in the same turn as you play a spell, so you're guaranteed to get at least 1 token out of it.
Yeah, he goes for the Thought Scour. Makes sense.
Though I think I would have played Delta first, but this worked out all right.
Yeah, no removal spell for Dark Confidant, so let the value train commence. Gerry kept 5 lands, but he's already picked up a couple of spells. Now, how do you play this if you're Gerry? Offer the trade?
Offering the trade is interesting because that way it lets you kill Delver without spending mana, and then you can play just another Dark Confidant or a Tarmogoyf.
Yep.
I don't mind just playing the Tarmogoyf here, and then you don't need to kill the Delver right away. It hasn't even flipped yet.
Yeah.
You also don't really want...
Trade. What do you think of that?
That's aggressive from Paul, but it makes sense. I think Gerry only offers the trade if it's in favor of him, so I do think that you can reasonably assume he's either got another Dark Confidant, maybe he doesn't have a way to kill your Delver.
Delver does flip for Paul. He draws the Lightning Bolt.
And then here I would expect Pyromancer, Bolt your Delver.
Bolt your Dark Confidant.
Or, sorry, yeah, Dark Confidant. Bolting the Delver, probably a slightly worse play is my guess. And then you set up next turn Snapcaster. Gerry's still at high enough life total that you'd rather just kill the Dark Confidant.
Yeah. Now, Gerry's up to 4 mana. So he can play a removal spell and a replacement Dark Confidant. Or he can play 2 removal spells.
I think you want to kill the young Pyromancer kind of regardless of what you do, because that card just lets Paul accumulate too much value. But whether you want to play Dark Confidant or second removal spell, it's always a little rough casting Dark Confidant instead of casting a removal spell on a 3-power flyer.
Yeah, and then taking the hit.
You could also just go Grim Lavamancer, Abrupt Decay your Pyromancer. Gotta have.
Yeah, it seems like it's remove Pyromancer. The question is then,
Yeah, you didn't
he's
remove the
going
Delver. You know,
figures from.
things are not looking that bad for Paul. He's got Snapcaster Terminate your Goyf here. He also has Delver go with leaving up Snapcaster Bolt or Snapcaster Thoughtscour, but Snapcaster Terminate Goyf is pretty appealing.
I mean, the Goyf is not small, right? He's down to 11
It's a
already.
it's a 4/5. The question is, do you want to get another shot at flipping Delver versus just killing the Goyf? I like just killing the Goyf, though that's going to work out all right for Gerry. Since not only does Gerry have another Tarmogoyf plus a Dark Confidant plus a Grim Lavamancer, you can just spew his whole hand. Next turn, Gerry gets to activate 2 Treetops, so Paul's actually in a lot more trouble than maybe he thinks right now.
Well, this line does look pretty solid. Here's Snapcaster Mage, targeting Terminate. Terminate is going to get rid of the Tarmogoyf. But yeah, I mean, this is a double mulligan for Paul. They're basically trading, and Paul's making reasonable trades, but he started out down 2 cards, and there was 1 Dark Confidant flip in the middle there.
Yeah, Paul got a token with the Pyromancer, and he got, the value off a Snapcaster. So he's up a 2/1 and a 1/1, but down 3 cards, which is not a great deal for him. Plus, Gerry has 2 Treetop Villages, so it's kind of like Gerry's up cards in that respect. And it looks like Gerry's just not interested in playing the Dark Confidant here.
Oh. Ghost Quarter to take Paul off, man.
And that takes Paul off black, and now Paul can't cast Murder's Cut.
Wow.
Because the Delver deck just plays the 1 Swamp. That's pretty awesome.
Wow. Kitchen Gerry's pretty good at this format, huh?
He's been playing it a lot, and Kitchen Finks looks like it's going to be pretty tough for Paul, too. Even if Paul wasn't already pretty far behind, Kitchen Finks plus leaving up Grim Lavamancer is quite good. Paul wants to flip Delver, drawing Cantrip into like something awesome. If he just draws like a red or blue land, I think he's just dead. Snapcaster Bolt's decent. It's one of the cards you could want in this situation.
Snapcaster Murderous Cut would have been pretty good.
It would have.
Can he Snapcaster back the Swamp? Is that how that card works?
Yeah. So I think Gerry's going to end up turning Lavamancer. He could at this point actually Lavamancer the Snapcaster Mage, and then Paul goes Snapcaster Bolt your Lavamancer right away. And that's not bad. Gerry taking the safer move, which is going to pay off here.
He's got total control of the ground between the Tarmogoyf and the Finks.
Oh, Paul did not want to snap. So it looks like Paul's plan is to just chump the Goyf and then Snapcaster Bolt end of turn here.
Wow. All right. Finks, Tarmogoyf, Treetop, no chump block for you. Gerry's going to Grim Lavamancer during his combat phase before we even get to blockers. Crunch. Paul says, but wait, there's more where that one came from.
Yeah, not gonna quite get there here. You get to kill the Goyf and you go down to 4. You're facing down 3 creatures with 0 castable spells. You can go to 3 to cast Murder's Cut, and that will not do it.
Yeah. All right, Gerry Thompson wins game 1. Helped out by a couple of mulligans from Paul, but Gerry played it pretty well. Does sideboarding change this matchup much?
Well, let's take a look at their sideboards here. It's not the kind of matchup where it gets dramatically different. Gerry has more like value cards like Tassiger, Olivia, Kitchen Finks. So not a ton. He gets to maybe trim some of the hand disruption. I don't love that against the Delver deck. And then if we take a look at Paul's deck, let's see if Paul's got some decent late game value cards. Paul's even less. He's got, I guess he could play like Flash Freeze against Goyf and red removal spells. He's got Forked Bolt. Engineer Explosives is decent because there's a lot of 2-drops. Blood Moon could be good. Gerry's got a lot of color requirements and Treetop Villages, so I would not be surprised if Blood Moon came in. But overall, I mean, these decks are still just trading cards, and mulliganing twice is not a good way to do that. It's in fact a very bad trade.
So you had Gerry favored in this matchup anyway, even before they played a game. He's just a little bit slower, a little bit grindier, which is kind of where you want to be in the grand scheme of Magic decks.
You generally want to be like a half a level above your opponent. Like the mid-range decks are good against the aggro decks. The control decks are good against the mid-range decks. And if you're too far above your opponent, then they're faster than you and they go under you. But if you're just right on top of them, then that's exactly where you want to be. And that's where it feels like Gerry is. He's maybe a little worse against like combo. He's got different disruption at the very least, but against a deck like Paul's, his splits are just a little bit better, and he's got a little more removal. Mana Leak is and Remand are a lot weaker than Terminate, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Paul does have a couple of his own terminates, but in general, Gerry has all terminate type effects, and Paul has some amount of like soft counters.
Maybe we can look back at Gerry's list again. How well positioned do you think this deck is in general for Modern? I mean, it's Jund rather than Obzon. I mean, it was, as of the Pro Tour, Siege Rhino and Lingering Souls were so good that everybody's black-green X deck set X equal to white.
Well, it depends on how good Kolaghan's Command, Lightning Bolt, and Terminate are. Not as much Terminate, because that gets kind of mimicked by Path to Exile, even though Terminate is a little bit better value. But Command and Bolts are the two main gains you get. You get some stuff like Olivia, but that's not a huge deal. This deck doesn't actually look particularly good against the hard Lingering Souls. It's got one Maelstrom Pulse, one Olivia, and I guess one Grim Lavamancer. The rest are not great. But if your removal's better and you don't care about losing out on Lingering Souls against other people, then this deck does look pretty good.
Yeah,
I
so it
also
does. Go ahead.
I also like that just playing black, red, green gives you just a lot of great sideboard options. Rending Volley is just a great card, and Ancient Grudge, Shadowstorm, Blood Moon, Leyline of the Void. These are the kind of cards I like seeing in sideboards. I hate when people have like cards that just don't do that much in the matchup in a sideboard where your slight upgrades, you're turning terminates into like Maelstrom Pulses or whatever, that sort of thing. Whereas putting in cards like Ancient Grudge or Rending Volley, these will decide games.
Yeah, Rending Valley definitely seems like a nice addition. All right, Gerry's got one land.
So Gerry and I have built decks together for a long time. We've play tested together a long time. He always plays more Duresses and more lands than I do. And here where I'm like, I might set out the Thoughtseize, Gerry's siding in Duresses. So this is a tale as old as time. Whether Gerry keeps this hand, I don't actually hate this hand. It's only one land, but you get to go Duress, Bolt, Bolt to keep yourself alive. If you draw a
He's on
second
the
land,
draw,
you have Goyf and Terminate. Yeah, I kind of like it. Just go ahead and get your Blood Crypt. Meanwhile, Paul's not doing anything for a few turns either.
Wow, Paul's got two Tassigers, but that's a keep. And Gerry does keep.
I think Paul's hand lines up kind of well against Gerry's. First of all, Gerry hasn't drawn a second land yet, so clearly he could just be stuck on two. But Gerry doesn't have a way to kill Tasker besides Terminate, and if he double bolts Tasker, that's not that bad for Paul. And if he doesn't draw a second land, he can't even cast the Terminate. Also, Serum Visions was a very, very good draw. The question now is, does Paul sack Delta for an untapped land, or does he sack it for a tapped land? I don't love the idea of paying 2 life. Also, it'll be interesting to see if Paul's got Blood Moon in his deck, whether he's fetching out Island Swamp aggressively here. But Serum Visions is kind of the perfect draw. And, there are advantages to being the blue deck with Serum Visions. Paul's draws are going to be a little more consistent than Gerry's. So Paul has a card like Serum Visions in his deck.
We're set up for Tassiger next turn. Yeah. Next turn with 1 mana to spare. Well, second land came off the top just in the nick of time.
And now Gerry gets to play a 3/4 Tarmogoyf, so he can't get bolted conveniently enough. Though Paul, nope, can't quite get it down. You can delve with Tassiger, which can shrink Goyf, but then if you cast Bolt, there will still be 3 different types. So I guess you could actually, no, Paul can just cast Bolt and then delve it away with Tassiger. So that's actually the play here. Let's see if Paul gets there.
Right, because he's playing a polluted delta, he can sack. That'll get the 4th card into the graveyard. Lightning Bolt first would be the 5th card into the graveyard. He's got the ability to bolt the Tarmogoyf and then delve away all the instants.
Yeah, that's, I think, very clearly what you want to do. It lets you trade Bolt for a Tarmogoyf, which is a fantastic deal. You just need
Yeah,
to
yeah.
make sure not to leave any instants in your graveyard.
And he has to do the bolt first.
You have to do the Bolt first, because otherwise Bolt will resolve and Goyf will be a 3/4.
Oh, he doesn't see it.
He
He
might
must
see
just.
it and choose not to do it, but I do like that play here.
Yeah, it bolt and then Tasigur. Trading bolt for Tarmogoyf is just good, and he just could have.
So now Gerry presumably is going to want to terminate the Tasigur, though he knows about the second Tasigur here, so it's possible that he could attack. No, but then Paul just blocks, and that's not good for you. So yeah, I like terminate attack. And now this plays off the table because Gerry has instants in his graveyard.
Yep. 3rd Tasigur.
Paul's got a couple Tasigurs here.
It's not out of fetch lands though, so he can keep casting them. Paul does have the ability to Snapcaster Terminate to kill the Tarmogoyf.
Yeah, which I imagine is the play here. I don't like the idea of playing Tasigur and then having Gerry kill it again and attack me.
Maelstrom Pulse is like, I want to get 2 Tasigurs. The legend rule is like, no, not
The only two of that's going to be showing up any time soon might be Tarmogoyf, but I think this Tarmogoyf's not even going to hit Paul here.
Yeah.
It's funny, if Paul gets a basic here, it doesn't indicate necessarily that he's got Blood Moon in his deck. It could just be that he wants to take less damage, but if I'm Gerry, I'm a little suspicious.
Fair. Especially since Paul kind of wants basics in his deck to get with the Ghost Quarter, right?
Yeah.
All right, here's the Snapcaster for Terminate play. Tarmogoyf down. Gerry is just going to play a replacement, leaving up a Lightning Bolt.
So now you play Tasigur. Presumably you don't have to even delve all that much if you don't want.
Yeah,
You can-
it's going to get killed, but the 3rd one looks like it might actually stick, or I guess it just trades for 2 Lightning Bolts.
Well, let's see. You play Tasigur this turn. The other question Paul has is, does he want to leave up Bolt to block with Snapcaster and cast Bolt, which is a play he did in game 1? That kind of makes sense. You can go like play Scalding Tarn, sack it for a tapped like red-black land maybe, Blood Crypt, exile your graveyard to play Tasigur, and then block with Snapcaster and Bolt, or you can just attack. Going aggro. Now Gerry might actually just bolt the Snapcaster, though he could block. Paul's kind of telegraphing what he has.
Yeah. And did he even have the bolt way back for the duress?
He did, so Jerry's well aware of what's coming. And now Paul's just going to play Tasigur and then just leave Scalding Tarn up.
He's going to get hit by this Tarmogoyf, though, right?
Presumably Jerry's going to go Bolt, untap, pulse your Tasigur. Gerry could have sacked the Verdant first to leave up red mana for Bolt, but no real need to do that. He comes to the conclusion of.
Now, Gerry does not know about the 3rd Tasigur.
No one ever expects the 3rd Tasigur. The 3rd Tasigur, well, it can block Goyf, and then bolts can bounce off each other, both creatures, and they both can die, leaving Gerry with Olivia plus whatever he's drawn versus Paul's, whatever Paul's card is here. Ooh, Deprive.
It's not bad.
It's pretty good, since now Paul can play Tasigur, leaving up the 2 Steam Vents.
Yep.
Leaving up Deprive and Bolt. So what would be interesting is if Gerry attacks, Paul blocks, Gerry lets damage happen and then bolts, Paul deprives the bolt, then Gerry plays Olivia. Oh, I guess he doesn't have the 5th mana. He didn't draw a land there. But so now Jerry's going to play a Tarmogoyf, see if Paul deprives it. Paul deprives this, which I think he kind of has to. It's really tough not to at this point. He's
Yeah.
going to get his Tassiger bolted here. So that Goif was a pretty good draw for
Wow.
Gerry.
And Paul's out of mana to bolt back. So Paul, yeah, didn't see the opportunity to trade Bolt for Tarmogoyf way back at the beginning of the game. He's kind of been paying for it ever since.
Yeah, if he didn't have this bolt and Gerry didn't have the Tarmogoyf, Paul may still have been in trouble, but it's possible Tasker wouldn't have died to bolt in that case.
Right.
And now Paul has one draw step exactly to find an answer to Tarmogoyf, and he's already got the bolt for Olivia. So this game's not out of reach by any stretch, but
Is Gerry gonna Inquisition here?
looks like he's going to Inquisition and take the bolt. So now Paul needs an answer to Olivia, Tarmogoyf, and then Olivia. Well,
Step one.
he found the first one. He's got, again, one draw step to draw an answer to Olivia.
Gerry just saw his hand last turn, rolling his eyes while playing. But
yeah, but that's why Gerry played it that way too. That way his Olivia didn't die to that bolt.
Right. Delver Secrets. Not going to get the job.
Olivia does technically not kill Paul this turn, but I don't think now that Jerry's drawn Tassiger, Olivia can go ahead and shoot Tassiger.
Here's Tassiger. Here's Olivia. And Olivia's hungry.
Humph.
Humph, indeed. Gerry Thompson, 2-0 through to the finals.
Indeed.
Now, Gerry hasn't actually won one of these weeks yet.
True.
He's been in the finals 2 times, 3 times. We should
he's been in the finals twice, I believe. He lost in the Just Guy Mirror against Josh, and he lost with a whip against Owen.
Yeah, there's the bracket. Gerry through to the finals. We'll see if we can get him into chat with him about his deck and his wins so far while we Tom and Owen put together. But we've got the standings bracket as well, right? There should be a standings graphics in there some. Yeah, Gerry Thompson, 3rd place off of a 1-1, a 2-1, and a 2-1. So he's made the finals twice, but he hasn't actually closed the deal yet. Still in a playoff position, even without a win.
Oh, very much so. And especially now that he's in the finals here.
Oh, yeah, he's up to 70, right? Paul's going to be on 65. So Gerry is in no worse than 2nd place. Maybe Tom can leapfrog him, hypothetically. But yeah, 70 points. He's going to be in a playoff position even without a win through 5. But maybe he'll pick the first win up finally. Get that 15-point match.
Yeah, and it's a pretty big match.
Welcome, Gerry. Nice job.
Thank you.
Seemed like I don't know. It seemed like you knew that deck really well and just had good reads on how to play all those situations. This is something you've been playing a lot of in Modern?
As of lately, yeah, I've definitely been playing a bunch, but also Jund is something that I've just played for a while. So,
do you like where it's positioned in Modern right now? Like, give us the pitch for the deck, big picture. Where do you think this deck lines up with Modern right now?
I just don't think it has too many terrible matchups outside of Tron, and well, unfortunately, there are some jerks here that are trying to play Tron and beat me. So
you're playing Tron in the finals. Let's just spoilers.
Yeah, I got a couple Blood Moons. We just have to draw those, I guess. But yeah, I mean, like things like Lightning Bolt, Inquisition of Kozilek, Tarmogoyf, those handle just a lot of problems, and you might not be able to deal with everything on a 1-for-1 basis, but sometimes Tarmogoyf just kills them. So.
Now, how is your Abzan matchup? Is Lingering Souls not a good card against you?
Oh, Souls is great. It's definitely one of the cards that kind of breaks the mirror, but I have a few things in my deck, like the Maelstrom Pulse, the Jund Charm, the Olivias, and against Brad's deck, I figured out that he was playing Willie's deck, which is like pretty weak to Leyline of the Void also, since he has a bunch of Tassigers and Souls, so I don't know. I think I'm okay there. But
okay, we didn't get to see that match on camera, so tell us, how did the match against Brad go in the first round?
It was a grind fest. I mean, that's just all it is. And I got pretty far ahead in game 1. He peeled a Lingering Souls, which gave him 4 creatures to block my 10/10 Raging Ravine. And then that gave him enough time to find a Tassiger. So then, like, if he drew them in the other order, the Tassiger would have had to chump block. But he drew perfect Souls into Tassiger. And then the game went on for forever. And then eventually I just, I also top decked him right back. And was able to grind him down and then finally finish him. And then the next game, I just played an Olivia, and he couldn't deal with it.
Got it. And so I know that Brad told me it was Willie Edel's deck that he was playing. He says he goes to Willie for a lot of advice on the format. It's another guy who's been playing a lot of Black-Green X decks over the years.
Yeah, Willie's great.
But now that deck, though, just knowing the deck list, like once you start to recognize it, you're able to essentially just run through the 60 in your head and know the strengths and weaknesses?
Yeah, kind of. It was like, well, I know that Willie had some Dark Confidants, so I know that I can keep in Lightning Bolt and have it actually be pretty reasonable. I know that he doesn't have Siege Rhino, so I don't have to worry about getting burned out. So it doesn't impact that much, but it's just like the little things that if you have a close decision, it's pretty easy to make it so you can lean one way or the other.
Yeah, that's the big advantage of playing, being up on the format. Like, if you haven't played Modern in a couple months, you'll still know what the Splinter Tomb deck is trying to do, but whether or not, they have Spell Snares or Spell Pierces or which cantrips they have in their deck this particular week is something that you do want to know, because it just changes how you play tremendously, and you're not going to know these things unless you've been playing actively.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, any key moments in the last matchup, the one we did get to watch against Paul, that stuck out in your mind?
When I drew my second land, that was pretty good.
We both would have kept that hand as well. We thought it was a good keep.
Yeah, it was close. I mean, if he is able to find a Blood Moon there, like based on how light I am on lands, like obviously I'm just gonna die, but that's just like a risk throughout the entire match. So the fact that I had 2 bolts, a Duress, and a Tarmogoyf, like that's a keeper in a grindy matchup.
Fair enough. Well, good luck against the Tron deck that's waiting for you in the finals.
Thank you. I will probably need it.
Maybe we'll get to chat with you again. We'll see. Or you seem fated to keep finishing second, though.
I know. This is one of the times I felt like I've had a really bad matchup, though. So maybe we can turn it around.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Well, thanks, Gerry. We'll let Gerry go get ready to watch this match, see what he's going to fight up against Tron, whether it's Owens or Tom's. I know we are also in the process of getting Owen and Tom into a match. Yeah, Paul's now realizing he's been pointed out to him that he just missed the Bolt Delve play. And yeah, he's admitted he just missed it. It was a tough play. I don't know. Did you see that, Gerry?
Which game, which turn?
In game 2, you've got a Tarmogoyf, and he delves for a.
Oh yeah. I did not notice it. I did not think about that.
Yeah, it was a tricky line, but yeah, Luis found it. If he bolts Tarmogoyf and then delves all the instants away, he actually could have successfully bolted a Tarmogoyf and played Tassiger on like turn 3.
Yeah, that's come up a lot for me, but I always miss it too. So
yeah, unlike all the Jund cards I borrowed from Gerry a couple years ago, I did find the line. So
okay.
Unlike the Jund card, you still owe him like a 60.
It's only some Bloodbraid Elves. No big deal.
No.
What do you think of the no rhinos in Willie's version of Abzan?
It's weird. I don't think splashing white is really worth it unless, like I don't see why you just wouldn't play Rhino. I think it's so good against so many decks, but
yeah, I'm a little confused by that too. It's just part of the reason to play these colors is you get this card. If you're not playing this card, like you're just Lingering Souls and Path is the only cards basically.
Did his deck even have Path to Exile though?
Let's take 4 Lingering Souls.
I think he was just splashing souls. I don't think he has Path.
Yeah, actually, no, you're right. It's just straight up white for just Lingering Souls.
Yeah, and no, not even a sideboard.
Not even a sideboard card.
Yeah, that's one of the things I was talking about. Like once I figured out it was that deck, it's like I know that he can't just path my Olivia.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, it's not going to terminate it either. Makes sense. Anyway, yeah, I mean, Willie's played a lot. I'd be curious to hear the logic behind that, I guess. Interesting stuff. All right, let's go down to the match. Thanks for hanging out with us, Gerry. Let's go find an opponent for you. Will it be Owen Turtenwald?